Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Kevin Blekicki Show. This is episode number 52. We come at you later on in the week because I'm no longer on the radio. This is just a YouTube exclusive show now. So I can upload it when I want. So I decided to record and upload my episodes on Friday. That way, over the weekend, I can, create clips and upload them up to social media, and it fits better with my work schedule. So that's what I'm going to be doing moving forward. And it's going to be probably a little bit of a shorter episode because I just want to focus on one topic in this specific video because it's kind of a shorter topic, and there's not a whole lot going on in the world of sports. We do have spring training going on, but there's nothing really going on in the baseball world until the World Baseball Classic starts, and the Olympics just ended. There's no football. So we're kind of just in this weird period in the sports calendar. So I figured that I was just going to dedicate this one episode to this one topic because there's also something else that I want to talk about, but I also want to give that its own video as well. But we have to talk about what happened with the U.S. men's hockey team. They finally won gold for the first time since 1980, 46 years ago. The Miracle on Ice team, the United States has won a gold medal in men's hockey, and they did it against Canada. It was a 2-1 overtime game. It was an instant classic, and it was a moment in this country's history where, for a brief moment in time, everyone was united. Everyone supported the men's hockey team. Everyone was behind them. It was something that we could all agree on. We couldn't even agree on at the Olympics. There were some athletes that were outspoken about the country, some of them that weren't. Some people are American heroes, some people are American traitors. And when it comes to this country, no one can agree on anything. The men's hockey team kind of just shut up and played hockey, and it was great. And then, Jack Hughes scores the golden goal in overtime, and he puts the American flag around him. The other players are running around with the flag. Totally normal. It's the Olympics. It's an international competition. Fine, no issue with that. Then they go around with Johnny Gaudreau's uniform around the ice. Johnny Hockey, a guy who tragically had his life taken away a few years ago, probably would have been on this Team USA team. And he never got his chance to be in the Olympics. So for them to parade his jersey around the ice and take pictures of it in the team photo, it was an amazing moment. It truly was a great moment. And then the locker room celebration happened, and then everything changed. The women set multiple records, but the men set the record for the quickest bag fumble of all time. As when they were in the locker room celebrating, they invited FBI Director Kash Patel into the locker room to celebrate. I have no idea why he was there. Now, if you want to say that he was on there on an official visit and he was, they were representing the country, that's fine or whatever. But it's the way that he acted that really gets to me. He was wearing like a long sleeve USA shirt, which I mean it is fine, but it was in the same style as the uniform, so it was like one of those jerseys or whatever that they call them, and he was cheering and chugging beer, and they put a gold medal around his neck, and it just looked weird. If anything, it was just cringe, secondhand embarrassment. These guys are celebrating the biggest moment of their lives for some of them, and a moment that they'll never forget, and something that this country will never forget. And their first idea is to celebrate with the FBI director. Why is he there? I don't. And he was there burning thousands and thousands of taxpayers' dollars, but we've very well grown used to the United States government misusing our tax dollars multiple times. So this is nothing new. But they're partying in in the locker room, and I don't know if Cash Patel called President Trump or President Trump called him, but there's a phone call involved, and of course the boys are stoked. You really shouldn't be excited for a conversation with a guy who's in the Epstein files and is implicated in one of the biggest human trafficking scandals of all time. But whatever, they won a gold medal at the Olympics, or the president, fine, they got a call. But it's the contents of the call and how they reacted that is getting everybody up in arms. And that was Trump saying, congratulations, we're inviting you to the State of the Union, this week. And, of course, they all go crazy for that. And he said, we're inviting you to the White House and whatnot. And, we also have to invite the women or else I'll get impeached. And then most of the people in that room laughed. And, I've had the same reaction. This has been the reaction by women all across social media who I follow, who I don't follow, who have reacted to this, that said that it wasn't a funny joke, that the punchline was the women. And they are right. The punchline was the women, because the women won a gold medal as well. They won all of their games as well. In fact, they were more dominant in their wins. They also set the record for the longest shutout streak in Olympic history. They were absolutely dominant. They also won 2-1 in overtime. Megan Keller ended up scoring the golden goal. You also have Layla Edwards being the first Black woman to ever win a medal, not just a gold medal, but a medal at all in hockey in the Winter Olympics. That was a huge moment. She should absolutely be celebrated. And the reason why it's not funny, and this, I don't think that anyone's really talked about this, the women's part of the tournament wrapped up a few days before the men. And in this phone call, the phone call took place right after the men won the tournament and won the gold medal. The women won it a few days earlier, and they never received the phone call. So him saying that he is going to call them and invite them because he has to, or else he'll get impeached, is a problem, because he could have just done that. This whole thing could have been avoided if he just invited the girls when they initially won, but he waited until after the men won and joked about it. Now, this really isn't a surprising development. We know that Trump is a misogynist. We know that he hates women. He was found liable for sexual assault. Obviously, he's all over the Epstein files. At this point, they're the Trump files, not the Epstein files. We know what Donald Trump is. He is a morally bankrupt person who is one of the worst people to ever run for president, and we've had slave owners. And I'm not surprised at all about the men being, sexist pigs as well, because hockey culture encourages that. It's a very masculine sport. It's a very, rich sport to get into. You have to have a lot of money. So it's a bunch of rich white guys, playing hockey. They're not caring about the geopolitics of the world. Like whenever a player gets into the penalty box, they're not thinking about the price of insulin, or they're not thinking, wow, we need to pay our school teachers more. No, these guys are just, and they just run into each other and they hit each other and they punch each other. And that's about it. This is going to sound like an insult, but it's not. There is a trend in athletes who play violent contact sports and athletes that support Trump. If you get hit repeatedly in the head and you are at risk of getting concussions or you have concussions, you are more likely to support Trump. That's not even a joke. The entire UFC is just a bunch of people beating the shit out of each other and wrestling, and they all support Trump. Dana White has been to the RNC. He's been to Trump rallies. He's basically a part of the government. He's doing a UFC event at the White House. Like, and then you have, all these guys in the NHL. Baseball is probably a huge conservative sport as well. NASCAR. I mean, they're not really violent, but there's guys like Jake Paul, who's a boxer, who's a huge Trump supporter. Tua Tagovailoa is a light breeze away from having irreversible brain damage, and he's a Trump supporter. Nick Bosa, Trump supporter, football player. So, there's a direct correlation between violent sports that could give you concussions and supporting Donald Trump. If you have brain injuries, you're more likely to support him. That's just the fact. So I'm not surprised at all that these guys acted the way that they did and laughed at the behest of the women. What bothers me is that Jack Hughes has kind of positioned himself as this not political, kind of wishy-washy, 1 foot in, 1 foot out type of person. He said that it's not political, and yet, boom, he goes to the State of the Union, he goes to the White House, he put on a MAGA hat. He was, buddy buddy with Trump. And this is the same guy that was very vocal about the Devils having a pride night. He was in favor of it. There's pictures of him wearing a pride jersey and pride tape. And this is a guy who people thought that was pretty with the times and very very open-minded. And then he does this shit. You can't care about gay people or women and support Trump. Those two things can't exist. You can say all you want, praising the women's team, praising gay people, and how much you want a pride night. The instant that red hat touches your head, it's all over. It's all gone. Because Trump has spent his entire life assaulting women, belittling them, and his entire administration from the jump has been demonizing trans people, and he has been vilifying them. And every time that he gets, these are the protect women's sports crowd of people. And there was a time, and this was the time for them to stand up. Hey, the women were dominant too. The women won a gold medal too. They deserve to be celebrated as well. And we didn't get that from any of these conservative pundits. They went along with the joke. They were fine. It was triggering to the left. So, anytime that they try and preach to us about the sanctity of women's sports, they're just transphobic and they're just bigots. And that's all that they stand for. And for that's what bothers me about the Jack Hughes situation, is that he's kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. He's not. If you're gonna hang around with Trump and go to the State of the Union and wear a MAGA hat, just say it with your full chest. Just say that you support pedophilia. Say that you support racism. Say that you support homophobia, transphobia, xenophobia. Say that you're proud that the United States government is murdering its own citizens in the street. Just come out and say it. Don't kowtow and don't beat around the bush and pretend like you love everybody and you're not political and you just want us all to get along. There is no getting along after the Trump administration. We can't just pretend like this hasn't happened. We can't pretend like he's not ripping families apart. We can't pretend like he's just jamming a crowbar in our society and trying to divide us. This isn't 2012. This isn't Obama Romney where we're arguing about taxes or where funds should go for schools. This is about whether or not trans people deserve to live. This is about whether or not uh, we're going to prosecute people who are pedophiles and have abused children. So when you say that you're just, you know, that this really shouldn't be a left or right issue. It really should be everyone against Donald Trump and the MAGA party, because objectively, Donald Trump is a horrendous person and a horrendous president and should have never been even a thought. And that's kind of what it was in the beginning. There was a lot of people in the Republican Party that were against Donald Trump in the beginning, especially JD Vance. There's videos of him saying that he's a never Trump guy. But then when they realized how big of an impact he's having, and he kept winning primary after primary, kept getting more and more support, and his approval rating got higher and higher amongst Republicans, they all just stood in line and they all let everything happen. And then they stood behind him. And then there was some pushback in the first term. He wasn't able to get everything that he got done. And then COVID happened, and then Joe Biden got elected president. And then he was old, and Kamala didn't really want to run a great campaign. And then we got Trump again. And now Trump fires everyone who's in his way, anyone who opposes him. No one stands up to him. Everyone just licks his boot, and he gets away with everything. And he's going to get away with raping kids. And it's unfortunate, but that's the world that we live in. And that is why Charlie Kirk got the reaction that he did when he passed away and got shot. It's because there is no justice in this world. People who should, I mean, Charlie Kirk to a lesser extent, but a guy like Trump isn't going to face any criminal charges. He's not going to get arrested. He's not going to spend a day in an orange jumpsuit unless you count the skin that he already has. Um, and that's what we have to wait for. We just have to wait for him to die, because that's the only way that any of his victims are going to get justice. Because guys like Kash Patel, who the Team USA hockey team was celebrating with, is doing everything in their power to make sure that this gets wiped clean. They're deleting evidence. They're doing everything in their power to make sure that Donald Trump gets away with this. And he probably will. And if he's alive throughout this term and he ends up going, and we end up having a Democrat in the next election, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen then, but it's probably not going to be enough. But this is just really sad. I'm really sad that we can't just celebrate this team. This team was supposed to be special, and this was a moment for the first time that, like, there's so many people who were not alive during the 1980 Olympic team. And now we have this moment, but it's forever tainted. And it's because a bunch of guys decided to kiss the ring of a pedophile, a racist, a sexist, a misogynist, homophobic, transphobic, all the phobias, all the isms. And it's a shame. It's a shame because people in other countries can see it. Canada despises Trump. People in Europe and other, Latin American countries, they can see it too. It's just us, and we're purposely shooting ourselves in the foot, and we deserve this. We elected Trump. I personally didn't. I didn't vote for his ass, but Now we're paying the price, and this should be the standard going forward. I've seen a lot of hate towards Jack Hughes, Quinn Hughes, the Kachuk brothers, for everyone who went and supported went to the White House. That should be the standard. You shouldn't be, you know, chumming it up with Donald Trump. The standard should be that you do not talk to him, you do not engage with him, you do not support him. That should be the logical position. It shouldn't be a left or right issue. Everyone should reject an offer from Trump. And history is not going to look good on them. You think that they're going to make a Miracle on Ice movie about the 2026 Olympic men's hockey team with Jack Hughes, Quinn Hughes, and the Kachuk brothers? No, they're not going to think fondly of this team. Yeah, you're going to have guys like Pat McAfee, who already interviewed Trump on his show, and if he's not even an out Republican, he's just pretty much just MAGA anyway. He's MAGA coded. And you're going to have Fox News, they're going to have Fox News coverage all the time. If and when their hockey career ends, they can always just go on Fox News and be a contributor and just say how much, they hate trans people or whatever. They're always going to have a job as a right-wing grifter. But the rest of us are not going to look fondly on them. I mean, they should get used to that. They should enjoy that tab that they had when they went to the 11 nightclub in Miami. They should enjoy that moment, because that's not what's going to happen. And what makes this worse for Quinn and Jack Hughes, their mother was on was one of the coaches for the U.S. women's hockey team. She went through the ranks of U.S. women hockey, and they put her out there on the Today Show to do damage control for them, and they should be ashamed for themselves. I can't believe, and she defended them. She defended them for very misogynistic remarks against the women's team. And speaking of the women not getting the recognition that they deserve, during this State of the Union address that Trump had, he gave the Presidential Medal of Freedom, I think, to Connor Hellebuck, which is the highest honor that a civilian can get. And he was saying, because he played great. He wasn't even the best goalie for Team USA. That would have been Aaron Franklin, who faced 99 shots on goal and just gave up 2 goals for a save percentage of 98%. As I mentioned, the U.S. had the longest streak of consecutive shutouts in Olympic hockey history. And it was due in large part to Aaron Frankel, sorry. And she did not get that Presidential Medal of Freedom. If you want to give it to her, if you want to give it to someone, give it to her, or give it to Layla Edwards, the first Black woman to ever win a medal in Olympic hockey history. And you know what? Speaking of Black women, I mentioned literally last week that the NHL has a golden opportunity, pun intended, to capitalize on the diminishing popularity of the NBA. The NBA regular season just doesn't hit like it used to. There's a lot of talks of teams tanking, and NBA All-Star Weekend has always been kind of a disaster for the last couple of years. And the NHL has had a lot of popularity. They just had the Four Nations face-off last year, which was a huge success. All those fights that happened between USA and Canada went super viral. Then you have the Stadium Series in Tampa that just happened, I believe, last month, and it was great. It was one of the best outdoor hockey games I've ever seen. And you're seeing teams in non-traditional hockey markets win. You're seeing this. The Panthers won back-to-back cups. The Lightning had their run. The Golden Knights won a title a few years ago, as well as making it to the Stanley Cup final in their first year in the league. And now you're also seeing Seattle get a team, and that they're moving to Utah. I mean, I would have liked to see the Arizona Coyotes stay in Arizona, but they're going to, they're in Utah now, and now you have the Olympics, and they were great, and the U.S. won the gold medal, and they've had heated rivalry, which I haven't seen, but I hear is wildly popular, and is getting women and gay people into hockey, and I love hockey. I don't talk about it as much on this channel. It's not the sport that I know the most about, but I do think it is objectively the best sport, and the NHL had such a golden opportunity to capitalize on this popularity, and it all went away just like that. In the moment that they were talking to Cash Patel and partying, and then they laughed at that sexist joke by Trump, it all went away. They lost millions of fans in a moment because boys will be boys, and no matter how much you know you know, public support that they have for the women's team, it's what they do in private that shows you how they really feel. And I mean, this sucks. I was so looking forward to enjoying this moment as a hockey fan. I've wanted the United States to win a gold medal in hockey my entire life, and they finally did, and they ruined it. They absolutely ruined it in this and literally in real time. It was like less than an hour they ruined it, and I had to cancel my order from Fanatics. I didn't want to order from Fanatics, but they are a monopoly now. I bought a USA men's hockey gold medal T-shirt, and I canceled it because I don't want to be associated with this team anymore. I don't even know if I want to root for Team USA in the World Baseball Classic because I know that Kershaw's MAGA. I know that there's a lot of probably MAGA players on the team, and I don't want to root for a team that supports this president and this regime because they go against every single ounce of my morality. I wish that I wish it was um, like a registry, like height, six two, 210 pounds, Trump supporter. Like it should pull up on your ESPN stats. And if there's people on that team, if there's enough people, I mean, if it's like one guy and the rest of the team is, I guess, normal, I guess that's fine. But like, if there's a significant amount of, people that are MAGA and are going to be going to the White House if they win, I don't want to support that team. The Team USA, I think Mark DeRosa might. He's the manager of Team USA. They might go if they win it. But if like it should be like public knowledge, like, hey, if we're going, they should put out a press release. If we win, we're either going or we're not going to the White House to meet with President Trump. And that way, if they are, then I'll root for like Team Puerto Rico because there's some Mets that are Puerto Rican on that team. Although Lindor's not going to be playing, I could root for Japan or Dominican Republic. Root for my boy Juan Soto. I want to explore other options. Ooh, there's also Chinese Taipei. I also like Chinese Taipei because I like the I've seen some of their games, their home games, and they have like drums that they bang, and they have cheerleaders, and it's so much fun. They do like call and responses. I don't know what they're saying because it's not in English, but it seems like a really fun atmosphere, and I would definitely love to see a game in Taiwan eventually. But that does it for this edition of the Kevin Blekicki Show. I didn't think it was. I thought it was going to be shorter, but I ended up rambling for a full 30 minutes. Thank you for sticking this far. If you have, I appreciate it. Um, Hopefully, the 69 subscribers of my channel are not MAGA, If they are, that is unfortunate. If you want to unsubscribe, feel free to. I do not want your business. If you want to follow me on social media, follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram at Kevin Blekicki. And we will see you again next week.